Does your judo instructor tell you to unbalance your opponent and talks about Kazushi constantly, and you have no idea what the heck he's talking about? Yeah. Well, fear no longer. It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Thang and I are going to show you some principles of unbalancing your opponent. So, look at his feet. Stand right here. Stand right here. Okay. He's got 2 feet. Right now, he's pretty well balanced. If I try to sweep that foot, not going to happen. Try to sweep this foot, not going to happen. But if I transfer his weight all the way over onto the other foot, this foot gets really easy to move around. He's unbalanced. Okay? And there are many ways to unbalance. We can push. We can pull. Obviously, he fights back, and you're like, it's not that simple, Ramsey. You try to fight someone, they move all over the place, and they get balanced. Yeah. You've got to develop a sensitivity for when his weight shifts from one foot to the other foot. We do this every single day when we walk. I transfer my weight from one foot to the other. What is a walk but a fall? I am falling and catching myself, and falling and catching myself. And so, I don't know if you've done a drill like this in a judo class where you get some kind of clinch, generally you grab the gi or whatever, and you just kind of walk back and forth and walk back and forth. And why do they do this? So you can feel when the guy has his weight on one foot and when he does not. And then you can try to unbalance him. And don't kick the guy's leg. A sweep is not a kick. So I'm trying to get a feel for how he's stepping. And when that was the wrong time. And he steps, oh, that's the right time, right? Here, do that to me. Just see if you can lift my feet up. Okay. So, yeah, we're just going to walk back and forth, and just see if you can lift one of my feet. Don't try to kick it. So that's the wrong time. Just time it, okay? Almost. Go for it right before I put my foot on the floor. Right before I put the foot on the floor, okay? Oh, there we go. That's the right time. That's the right time. Now, if we're clinched up, maybe I have a collar tie. Collar tie is a good way to get a guy to transfer his weight. If I push here a little bit, if I got wrist control, that's a decent way to get a guy to start moving his weight around. If I have an underhook, I can make him shift his weight from one foot to the other. If I've got a whizzer, I can make him shift his weight from one foot to the other. And I don't have to do some big dramatic movement like break his posture down completely. But let's say I'm in an over-under clinch. And I can move my head all the way over here. Now I can use my head to move him and transfer his weight from one foot to the other. Maybe I want to attack his near side foot, but see all the weight's on it. So I give him a little push. And now it's much easier to grab this one. Yeah, I know. We were talking about judo before, and a lot of you were screaming, grabbing the legs is illegal in judo. I don't care. We're training for mixed martial arts. Suck it up, judo nerds. Anyway, so I want to attack this leg. If I try to leg entanglement right here, nothing. I give him a little push. Now it gets easy. Okay, here's a technique I like. We got a collar tie. I'm going to start walking, pushing with my legs to get his weight onto his far side leg. I'll switch over here. And now grabbing this leg is easy because his weight's on his other leg. I unbalanced him. But if I don't unbalance him, he keeps both feet evenly planted, and I do the same motions with my arms, but there's no pressure on the leg, there's no transfer of weight, and I try to pick this up. You don't even have to move. Just stand perfectly still. Just stand still. You don't even have to fight back. Look, I can't pick up that leg. He doesn't even have to push, right? Now, let's move over this way a little. If he is fighting back, why did it work better when he was fighting back versus when he wasn't fighting back? It's because, here, stand right there. His weight shifted to the other foot. And if his weight's off of this foot, this leg's easy to control. If you get super balanced, just stand normally, transfer your weight onto both feet 50-50. It's much, much harder to pick that one up. Even if I get in there and... You ever shot for a single leg? And You're like, oh, why is it so hard to finish this? I can't get the leg. It's because you made no effort to unbalance the guy. You ever hear people talk about an impact step in wrestling? And you think that means, oh, I'm just going to do the duck walk. And the heck is that duck walk for? Two things. One, a level change. And let's say, in amateur wrestling, we're generally going to get much, much lower. Because if he's up here and I'm down here, getting under him is pretty easy. And so a freestyle wrestler is going to be much, much lower than his opponent because it gets way easier to get to the leg. Now, if Feng gets low like that, now I got to match levels with him. And to get under him, to get my shoulder to his hip, I've got to do that duck walk level change. That's what that's for. This is a kind of a tangent, but it's an important one because I'm constantly seeing badly taught jiu-jitsu classes where they teach people double legs wrong and stupidly by drop your knee to the floor, step to the side, and then you have all these white belts with stars in their eyes like, okay, let me practice my takedown. Why doesn't it work? Why aren't you falling down? And then they just get sprawled on and squashed. That's dumb. Okay, back to the impact step. What's the impact step actually for? This magical thing called impact, right? So I want to unbalance him with the impact step. What's the impact step? It's here. Relax for just a second so they can see the footwork. I'm going to step between his stance and impact him. What did that do? It displaced him. Two objects can't occupy the same space at the same time. I make him step. I make him transfer his weight. I make him unbalance. Okay? And as I step in there, I bring my shoulder to the hip. And even without wrapping up the legs, you see it forces him back. But when I grab the legs, that was kind of a weird fall, and I think we're going off camera here. So let's just do this a few times, right? So break the posture, shoot. So there's a power double, but he's probably going to balance, and he's probably going to try to get his feet behind him, which is why we're going to cut the corner and move sideways where he's unbalanced. Okay? And it's the same exact principle. Right here, get very stable. Okay? If I don't have an impact step and I drive my shoulder to his hip, even if he doesn't even sprawl, don't even sprawl. Okay. Right? Just stand right here. Stand right here. Right? Just get stable. Okay. There's no impact. I pull. I can do this all day. He's not going to fall down. He can just laugh at me from here. It's dumb. Don't do it. Something so simple as a little push or a little pull, or better yet, both at the same time, can make people shift their weight. What's a center of gravity? Feng and I were talking about this before. If you chopped your head off right now, where would it fall if it went straight down? Right here, it would balance on my head because my center of gravity, it's right there between my feet when I stand up straight. If I lean forward, if you chop my head off, it would fall right there. That's my center of gravity here. If I lean back and you chopped my head off, it would fall right back down there. Here, sit down in the butterfly guard for a second. Okay. So I got my butterfly guard here. If I'm doing it right, then what do I have? I've got my center of gravity here, right between my legs, right in that spot, right in that hole. Okay? So if Feng gives me pressure and tries to unbalance me, I'm stable here. If I got my head behind me, if you chop my head off, it would fall right here. And guess what? If he pushes me, that's exactly where I'm going to go. Okay? So you have to understand where your center of gravity is. If you chopped your head off, where would it fall? Okay? So let's unbalance him. Maybe we'll do an elevator sweep. I want him to fall this way, so I've got to get his center of gravity here. And I can do that by moving my own center of gravity there when we're connected. Okay? But back up onto the feet. We were working with, that move right there. If I just try hooking his leg here, and he's balanced.
Yeah, the kosoto.
Yeah, I'm trying to do kosotogari, but his weight's 50-50. That does nothing, and I'm just putting myself in an unbalanced position up on one leg. If I'm here and he pushes me, yeah, I'm the one falling now. Let's say I give him a little push back. He's stepping out of frame. We're working without a cameraman here, just a tripod. So again, if I push him back and hook the leg, he might fall, he might not, but I'm going to lift that leg up. Here, try not to fall this time.
Okay.
So now I can hook that leg, right? I can combine judo and wrestling together into this beautiful thing called mixed martial arts, or just wrestling. But yeah, again, if I try to pull this or lift this without the setup, and in the immortal words of Jack Dempsey, it's not a setup unless your opponent is unbalanced. Remember that. That's true in boxing, it's true in judo, it's true in MMA, it's true in all combat sports. Okay? So again, do you remember Dale Brown, the Detroit urban survival guy? Okay, so Chewy from the Jiu-Jitsu channel and I, we did a collab video together, and one of the techniques that we tried out, which was just an epic fail, was Dale's version of the Koichi Gari, where he's just standing there and he like hooks the leg like this and his compliant partner falls over, and we point out the flaws in that lack of a setup. Okay? And a bunch of people in the comments were like, dude, that's a basic judo throw. And the reply was, that's a basic judo throw, butchered and done horribly wrong because there's no setup, there's no unbalance, there's no Kazushi. So I've got to transfer his weight to his back leg. Right here, it won't happen. Here, it will. And that's just a simple push. Here, go ahead and do that to me.
Okay.
So my weight's even here. So he's putting my weight on the back leg now. And now it's going to be easy to lift the front leg. Go ahead. Go ahead. And now, he went for a different throw, but it's the same exact principle. Let's go for maybe uchimata. Mm-hmm. So get balanced, right?
Okay.
If I try to do that inner reaping throw, it won't work. Okay? If I use the underhook to get his weight onto the other leg, inner reaping throw gets a whole lot easier. Okay? Think of it like this. Make your opponent do involuntary cartwheels. And it doesn't even have to be a lot. I mean, look at anybody who's good at martial arts. They're going to unbalance them a little. This little arm drag, I'm pulling on a lever. The lever is this bone here, ending at the elbow. Makes his posture come forward a little bit. Now his weight's on this leg. So this leg is easy to control. Okay? But if I try this grip and he's balanced, here, get balanced, get balanced. That's such a wimpy grip. And I used a bad grip on purpose to illustrate that point. Ordinarily, I would reach around the outside. If I break his posture, though, and I get his weight onto the other leg, this wimpy grip suddenly is a strong one. Okay? Don't use wimpy grips, though. We're going on and on a little bit, but do some sensitivity training. Do some clinches, do this walk back and forth thing. But more importantly, just get a grip where you can push your opponent's weight onto one side and then easily lift up the other leg. Right? From right here, maybe. So he gets even. Okay, he's hard to move. I use a grip to move his weight onto the other leg. Right? He gets even. It's hard to move. I transfer his weight onto the opposite leg. Here, try that with me. Just lift up one leg and then the other leg. Use whatever grip. Transfer my weight onto my right leg and lift the left leg.
Go right leg, then the left leg.
Yep. Okay. Now transfer my weight onto my other leg and lift my right leg.
I'm just going to use it.
Okay? Yeah, and we don't even have to throw each other. We can make this as simple as possible. Here, stand right here. Right here. Can't move you with my feet. But I transfer your weight a little bit. And now I can move your feet. I transfer your weight a little bit, and now I can move your foot, right?
Okay.
Here, just that simple, that simple.
Oh,
Here, go ahead.
Okay.
So just transfer the weight and lift the outside foot. Go ahead. Other side. Yep.
Okay.
Now think of sweeps for a minute.
Okay.
All right. If I get your feet up in the air for one moment, he's unbalanced, of course. If his feet are up in the air, right? And I move the feet while he's up in the air, he's going to fall. Because they can move easily. There's nothing stopping him. If he's right here, I try doing that same thing, same amount of power, he's not going to move at all because he's balanced. So we don't always have to get both of his feet up in the air. Great if you can, but most of the time you won't. But what you absolutely can do is get one of his feet up in the air by simply forcing him to shift the weight from the right side to the left side and do involuntary cartwheels. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train.